Okay, hello everyone. My name is Anggito Wicaksono. On today's video, I'll do my third assignment of English. The question is about, I'm gonna explain a few techniques on how to answer a question. Yeah, how to answer a question. I will explain what the meaning of the technique and why that I or us should or recommend to use this technique. Sorry, I turning off my music. So the first point is stating or explaining on your own view. So when a person asks us, we need to explain or express our own view on that question, so that and why. I think it's gonna give us an insight to the person who asks us, that we understand what does he or her ask. So it doesn't like you ask a question to a clueless person. So if you state your own view, you might understand what is your view to your question, and also you might yourself look like you understand the question, even though maybe you're not. But at least if you put your own view, the person know where is your view headed to. Is you're gonna be at A side or B side or C side or something. But if you don't give your view and explain your own view on that question, you might look like a clueless person, and the person who asks might be regret to ask you. So the second point is giving a relevant example. Giving a relevant example, that's mean like sometimes a question is like based on a problem. So as a person, like of course us, as a film and television students, giving an example is like you show the visual of the question, how it look like. And why should we do that? Because not everyone can understand words, so they need some example. So if you give them example, they will like visualize what is your example in their head, even though it's kind of isn't the same like you want it to be, but at least they know what do we talk about when we give example, because they can visualize what do we say, what do we mean in their own mind. Next, the third technique is explaining how or why some things happen. Explaining sometimes is like in Indonesia, it's like sebab and akibat, you know. In a question, if you need to explain how and why. So because your answer is gonna make sense to a question. And why? Yeah, I think because of that, you need to show that your question is make sense. Your answer to a question is make sense. It's not just something weird that you say come off your mouth. Yeah, you need to explain why something could happen, because people look, oh yeah, makes sense. His answer is make sense. I think. Now D, saying what would, could, should, might happen. Yeah, this mean like you're gonna show the effect, because like I said, there is a sebab and akibat. If there is a cause, this might be an effect. Yeah, you need to say that because every action that we took is gonna have an effect on everyday of life, you know. I choose UPI as my university because of I want to study in film and television, and there is gonna be an effect of that. I'll explain like the effect is I'm gonna just being around the creative industry, I'm gonna be far from home, of course. I might difficult at food because food in Bandung wasn't that good. Okay, next on to the point E, suggesting a solution to a problem. It's very important for you. Oh yeah, the meaning of this point is you must give a solution to a problem, because that's the point of you answering a question. Because if you're not giving a solution to a problem, that means you haven't answered the question. I mean, you just add another question. But if you can answer a question, how you are going to answer a few questions because of your answer? I might say a bit complicated here, but you know, you gotta need to solve giving a solution to a problem, because that's the important point of you answering a question. If you cannot do this, it just nonsense. It just doesn't mean anything. You don't need to even to answer it. You just need to ask again if you cannot giving a solution to a problem. And the last point is explaining the another side of an issue. Explaining another side of an issue is like, I think it's had a hubungan I'm sorry, with the first technique, like explaining your own view. But explaining another side of the view is like, there is no one perspective of an answer. There must be a lot of perspectives. So you need to give an example. Maybe like example, I think Manchester United is the best football team in the world because of they win a lot of trophy. But there is another perspective that say Man United is a good team because they are the best team in England. They have a good history. There is a lot of perspective into that statement. And if you ask, example, if someone asks you, who is the best president of Indonesia? I might say Jokowi, because Jokowi did a lot of things on infrastructure. But another person with another different perspective could say Suharto, because Suharto did made up people live happily without live happily in money, yeah, and something like that. You need to answer. You need to explain another side of an issue, because that's the point. One problem might have a lot of perspective. One question might have a lot of answer. Depends on the view. Depends on the perspective. It's not math, you know. If you got one problem, you have one solve, something like that. And yeah, that's a 6 technique about how to answer a question. And I've explained what's that mean and why we should do that. We should do 6 of that technique. Yeah, I'll put this on YouTube. And wish me luck for the next week test. Midterm test. I think, yeah, that one English. Okay, thank you for watching. I'm sorry if I belibet in English. I think that's it. Thank you everyone. Goodbye.